You're tuning into Nightline with me, Liyana Hassanel. The headlines. Arab and Muslim leaders call for immediate end to Gaza war. And defamatory statements against DAP leaders. Pleased to record Kepala Batas MP statement on Monday. Good morning. Saudi Arabia and Muslim countries on Saturday called for an immediate end to military operations in Gaza, declaring at a joint Islamic-Arab summit in Riyadh that Israel bears responsibility for crimes against Palestinians. Saudi Arabia's de facto ruler, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, in a joint statement said the 8th Extraordinary Islamic Summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, affirms its condemnation and categorical rejection of the barbaric war against innocent people in Palestine. Prince Mohammed said the world is facing a humanitarian catastrophe that proves the failure of the Security Council and the international community to put an end to the flagrant Israeli violations of international laws. The Extraordinary Summit also saw Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan calling for an international peace conference to find a permanent solution to the conflict between Israel and Palestinians, while Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi proposed that Muslim countries ban Israel from using their airspace and prevent the US from shipping weapons to Israel from its military bases in the region. Dozens of leaders, including Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani and Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who was welcomed back into the Arab League earlier this year, attended the meeting. Also in attendance was Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim. The summit came as fighting intensified overnight into Saturday near Gaza City's overcrowded hospitals. Earlier, Anwar arrived in Riyadh to attend the Extraordinary Summit and deliver Malaysia's firm stance on the ongoing Israeli aggression in Palestine. The special aircraft carrying the Prime Minister landed at the Royal Terminal King Khalid International Airport at about noon local time on Saturday, or around 5 p.m. Malaysian time. The arrival of Anwar and his wife, Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail, as well as other members of the Malaysian delegation, were welcomed by Deputy Governor of Riyadh, Prince Muhammad bin Abdul Rahman bin Abdul Aziz. The extraordinary gathering, held at the King Abdul Aziz Convention Centre in Riyadh, follows Anwar's extensive engagement with several OIC leaders on the Palestinian issue and Israel's unabated military aggression. During the summit, Anwar will again underscore Malaysia's unwavering stance on the imperative need to conclusively and permanently halt Israel's genocidal actions against the Palestinians in Gaza. The Extraordinary Summit is expected to adopt a final communiqué. In the meantime, the Zionist regime's atrocities against the Palestinians showed no signs of abating, as hospitals in Gaza continued to be the targeted. Several Israeli tanks were just 20 meters away from Al-Quds Hospital and firing at the facility, causing about 14,000 displaced Palestinians in a state of extreme panic and fear. The Zionist military also brought the war to the front gates of Al-Shifa Hospital, Gaza's biggest hospital complex, where thousands of injured and displaced Palestinians are trapped amid ferocious bombardment. It was also reported that the besieged facility's operation had to be suspended after it ran out of power and fuel, leaving 39 newborns in the incubators to fight against death. The situation is worsening as the hospital buildings were being targeted and any person moving or leaving the hospital compound is being attacked by Israeli snipers. In the southern Gaza Strip, the hospitals in Khan Yunis were running out of fuel, and the main hospitals that are still working do not have the medical resources to deal with the amount of injuries from the ongoing bombardments. To date, the death toll in Gaza have surged to over 11,000 Palestinians, including more than 4,000 children, as well as over 2,000 women. Meanwhile, United Nations Palestine Relief Agency, UNRWA, said there is no basis for Israel's claims that the organization's staff are Hamas members. Its communications director, Juliet Touma, stressed that more than 100 of her colleagues, which were killed in the Zionists' airstrikes of Gaza, were the backbone of the organization. She added that all of the UNRWA staff members have been vetted and cleared, not only by the UN, as the lists of its members were also shared with the Israeli government. On Friday, Israel's ambassador to the UN claimed that many UNRWA workers in Gaza are members of Hamas, a claim strongly refuted by the organization. At least 10 of the country's 141 entry points will be involved in the pilot project for the Single Border Agency SBA beginning next year. Home Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said the 10 which were selected are among the busiest in the country and included entry points in Johor, Sabah, Kuantan and Kuala Lumpur. Among the 10 entry points are the Kuala Lumpur International Airport Terminals 1 and 2, the Immigration, Customs, Quarantine and Security Complex in Rantau Panjang and ICQ Johor, as well as in Sabah. He said Johor and KLIA were selected as they are known for being busy, while Rantau Panjang is unique because it is only busy at certain times.
Jadi kita akan pilih itu sesuaikan dengan ciri yang unik bagi setiap kawasan pintu masuk itu. Barulah kita boleh mendapat gambaran bagaimana SBA nanti bila beroperasi, dia beroperasi dengan jayanya.
He said this to reporters after the handover ceremony of the General Operations Force new front-based post in Nibong on Saturday. Saifuddin added the preparation for the project will be done within the last 2 months of the year before the project starts next year. He also stressed that the ministry had no plans for new recruitment and would use the existing positions for the agency. On the Nibong post, he said it was among 16 used by the GOF in Kuantan. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim has approved about 45 million ringgit for the upgrading works of all the 151 GOF posts from Perlis to Sabah. The upgrading works of all the locations are currently ongoing. The government will carry out 2 high-priority flood mitigation projects, or RTB, with 725.7 million ringgit, with the aim of resolving flood issues in Dengkil town up to Labuhan Dagang. Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Minister Nik Nazmi Nik Ahmad said the project, which is a long-term plan under the high-priority flood mitigation, will be implemented in Sungai Langat Phase 1 and Sungai Langat Phase 2 to address the flood problems affecting about 120,000 residents in the area.
RTB Sungai Langat Fasa 1 di dalam proses pengambilan tanah dan dijangka siap pada 2027. RTB Sungai Langat Fasa 2 pula dijangka bermula dalam tempoh 2 bulan lagi pada Januari 2024 dan siap sepenuhnya menjelang 2030. Jadi ia merupakan projek di bawah Tebatan Banjir Berkeutamaan Tinggi.
He said this after a working visit to villages affected by floods near the Sungai Langat River in the Dengkil sub-district on Saturday. He stressed that as a short-term measure, maintenance of the drainage system in the area will be carried out more frequently. Meanwhile, he said the project to upgrade the Sungai Parit Tampoi Bund will be completed under the RTB project through a 9 million ringgit fund by the Selangor State Government and is set to be completed on June 12, 2025. On November 5th last year, several areas were flooded due to continuous heavy rain for an hour, including Kampung Sungai Buah, Kampung Jenderam Hilir, Kampung Cimperai, Kampung Seri Tanjung, Taman Delima, Kampung Orang Asli Sungai Melut, the FT29 FT32 intersection, and at Jalan Utama Taman Warisan Suria. The floods affected about 148 houses, with a total of 395 residents evacuated to several relief centers.
Syukur alhamdulillah apa yang jadi hari ini.
Tubuh badannya telah dipotong kepada 18 bahagian.
Dia senyum dan jawab, semoga saya panjang umur.
Mona ni hari-hari dia pakai cantik. Dia macam artis lah dia pakai tu.
Hukuman gantung sampai mati ke atas ketiga-tiga tertuduh kekal.
Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamadi has hinted that the coalition's candidate for the upcoming Kuman Byelection could be someone from outside the party hierarchy. The Barisan Nasional chairman said the move was not entirely new for the party, as it had been done before and the move had been well accepted.
Yang penting bukan hanya kemenangan, tetapi sekurang-kurangnya majoriti seteru politik kita boleh dikurangkan. Itu adalah indikasi kepada kejayaan yang akan kita mulakan di Kuman ini, insyaAllah.
He said this after officiating the Kedah UMNO Political Bureau retreat in Alostar on Saturday. The Barisan Nasional candidate for the by-election is expected to be announced this Monday in Kuala Lumpur. The by-election is being called following the Terengganu Election Court's ruling on September 26th, which nullified the victory of Che alias Hamid from Perikatan Nasional and GA15 after the petitioner successfully proved the existence of elements of corruption during the campaign period. The Election Commission has set polling day on December 2nd and nomination day on November 18th, while early voting is on November 28th. Police are set to record the statement of Kepala Batas Member of Parliament, Siti Mastura Mohamad, who is accused of making defamatory statements against DAP Chairman Lim Guan Eng. Bukit Aman Criminal Investigation Department Director Datuk Seri Muhammad Shuhaili Muhammad Zain said the statement recording process is scheduled for Monday. Shuhaili said 4 police reports regarding the defamatory statements have been received, and the investigation is being carried out by the Federal Police CID's Classified Crime Investigation Unit. He added the case would be investigated under Section 505, Subsection B of the Penal Code and Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act. Siti Mastura, during one of the programs in Kuman, Terengganu, reportedly said the former finance minister and several DAP leaders had ties with former Communist Party chief Chin Peng and Singapore's Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, prompting Lim to initiate criminal action and legal proceedings against her for the allegations she made. The Perak state government has agreed to sell treated water to Pulau Pinang through the setting up of a water treatment plant in the Kerian district in North Perak. Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Sarani Mohamad said the two state governments had reached a unanimous agreement to set up a joint committee to review the costs. Sarani said the meeting on Thursday resulted in a unanimous agreement between the state secretaries that Perak will supply treated water to Pulau Pinang and not raw water. The project would benefit Perak folk by assisting in resolving the agricultural sector issues in Kerian. It will also prepare to build the high-technology industrial park in the same district as announced by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim in the 2024 budget.
Pertama, memang kerajaan negeri sendiri nak memindahkan air ke utara Perak sebab kita nak membantu menyelesaikan masalah pengairan bagi pertanian di utara Perak. Yang kedua, apabila Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri mengumumkan tentang cadangan penubuhan high-tech park, high-tech industri park di Kerian, bermakna kita perlu juga memberi bekalan air yang mencukupi.
Sarani said this in responding to Pulau Pinang Chief Minister Chow Kon Yeow, who had said that the water supply issue between both states through the Sungai Perak Raw Water Transfer Scheme had entered a phase of positive discussions. A row of 9 food stalls in front of Teluk Kemang Square in Port Dickson was destroyed in a fire on Saturday night. Teluk Kemang Fire and Rescue Station Operations Chief, Senior Fire Superintendent Muhammad Kamal Muhammad Timar, said that a team of firefighters from the station arrived at the location of the fire after receiving information about the incident at 7:16 p.m. All 9 wooden stalls measuring 10 by 10 square feet were burnt, with 4 of them totally destroyed. 5 other food stalls sustained 25% damage. No casualties were reported from the fire. The cause of the blaze, along with the losses sustained, are being investigated. It is understood that firefighters were still conducting overhaul work at the site.
Jual nasi campur tu. Sebelah dia lagi. Sebelah Asmah, sebelah dia. Sekarang ni korang punya air tak ada ke? Tembak lah pipe, tak ada ke? Bomba dah ada tu.
150 Bangladeshi factories shut due to violent wage protests. News from the foreign front when we return. Bangladeshi garment manufacturers on Saturday shuttered 150 factories for an indefinite period of time as police issued blanket charges for 11,000 workers in connection with violent protests demanding a higher minimum wage. According to officials, 150 factories had closed in the key industrial towns of Ashulia and Gazipur, both north of the capital Dhaka, as manufacturers feared further strikes when Bangladesh's working week began on Saturday. Police have also filed cases against 11,000 unidentified people over the attack on Tusuka Garment Factory on Thursday, where 15,000 workers clashed with police on a key highway. Bangladesh's 3,500 garment factories account for around 85% of its $55 billion in annual exports, supplying many of the world's top brands, including Levi's, Zara and H&M. Violent protests demanding better pay erupted last month, with at least 3 workers killed and more than 70 factories ransacked or damaged since. The Philippines Coast Guard on Saturday said it would maintain its regular supply missions to troops stationed on a disputed atoll in the South China Sea, even though it expects more Chinese vessels to be sent to the area. According to the Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson, J. Tariela, the Coast Guard will still carry out the resupply missions, despite its limited number of vessels and the increasing number of Chinese vessels China are going to deploy. He said this a day after the Philippines condemned the Chinese Coast Guard for unprovoked acts of coercion and dangerous maneuvers, including using a water cannon against one of its boats in an attempt to disrupt a resupply mission. The Philippines regularly sends supplies to a handful of troops living abroad, an aging warship that was deliberately run aground on the 2nd Thomas Shoal in 1999 to assert Manila's sovereignty claims over the atoll. sports MotoGP, the 2023 Malaysian Grand Prix. Alex Marquez won the sprint race on the eve of Sepang GP, while compatriot Jorge Martin finished second ahead of title rival Francesco Bagnaia on Saturday. The Spaniard Ducati rider was clearly the most comfortable in the lead group and took the flag in 19 minutes, 58.713 seconds, crossing the line comfortably ahead of Prima Pramaj Racing's Martin. Ducati's Bagnaia, who came in third, had the first half of the sprint under control after starting from pole, but the 26-year-old Italian was unable to hold off a late surge by Marquez. The sprint result meant Bagnaia's championship lead over Spain's Martin was reduced to 11 points ahead of Sunday's race. On to golf, the 2023 Selangor Masters. Ho Yu Cheng of Taiwan survived a nervy closing round to bag his maiden Asian Development Tour trophy on Saturday. Taking a 4-shot lead over Japan's Naoki Sekito into the final round at the Sri Selangor Golf Club, Ho bogeyed his first 2 holes and spent the rest of the day in a survival mode. With none of the other golfers managing to post a lower score, Ho's 6 over par 280 total earned him the championship title. Playing in his rookie season on the ADT, Ho is currently in 10th place on the Order of Merit, and the win would secure his Asian Tour card for 2024 as one of the top 10 in the final standings. Ho brought home a cash prize of $31,000 and a trophy. Meanwhile, the battle for top Malaysian honours was a 4-pronged affair with Dayang Abdul Rahman, Irvin Chang, Kenneth De Silva and Galvin Green in contention for a place in the top 10. However, it was Chang who prevailed with a total of 4 over par 284, 1 shot ahead of Dayang and Green. After this breather, Muruku, a unifying snack during Deepavali for all Malaysians. Deepavali is a time for family. Just ask this charming grandmother and granddaughter duo who are sharing the light of the season through their heartwarming videos on social media. FMT's Tivia Ragu has the story.
Ever wondered what Deepavali truly means to generations past and present? Join us as we speak to a heartwarming grandmother and granddaughter duo on this festive occasion here in Timur, Perak. Meet Sinema Paliapan and her granddaughter Kanmani Perianan, who are behind the popular Yenga Amai or Our Grandmother profile on TikTok and Instagram. Videos of 82-year-old Sinema and her timeless traditional way of life have garnered millions of views. It all began during the pandemic when Kanmani started uploading videos of her grandma cooking time-honored recipes and reviving forgotten traditions. At the core of this charming social media effort is the heartwarming bond between grandmother and granddaughter.
எனக்கு நினைவு தெரிஞ்ச நாள்ல இருந்து நான் வந்து இவங்களோட தான் வளர்றேன். அங்க அப்பா சொல்லுவாங்க. அப்பல இருந்து இப்ப வரைக்கும் நாங்க வந்து I think we feel very emotional. தெரியல அப்பல இருந்து இப்ப வரைக்கும் அவங்க என்னோட தான் இருக்காங்க நான் அவங்களோட தான் இருக்கேன். She is the one of the main pillar of my life.
Kanmani was raised by her grandmother and single father, the two most important people in her life. In fact, given that her parents are separated and that she lives with her dad, most people are surprised to learn Sinema is actually Kanmani's maternal grandmother. As Kanmani and Sinema prepare to celebrate Deepavali, they point out that family is at the heart of the Festival of Lights.
ஒவ்வொரு தீபாவளிக்கு மட்டும் இல்லாம நம்ம ஒவ்வொரு வீட்ல இருக்கிற பெரியவங்களை வந்து we need to celebrate while they are alive. ரொம்ப பேர் அந்த மறந்துடுறாங்க.
Sinema, who lost her husband when she was just 25, says she has never been happier.
எல்லாரும் ரொம்ப பேர் அம்மா அம்மாயின்ட்டு வந்து காலில் உழுந்து கும்பிட்டு போகிறாங்கம்மா ஆசீர்வாதம் பண்ணிட்டு போகிறாங்க என்கிட்ட. நான் இந்த வயசில் இப்படி வரும்னு நினைக்கவே இல்லைம்மா நான். எனக்கு ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம் எனக்கு.
And while Kanmani is getting ready for her wedding and a big move to Pahang, she stresses that her bond with her father and grandmother is unshakable.
தீபாவளினாலே லைட்ஸ்ன்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. It should be love and light up other people's life. They're going to remember it forever.
அனைவருக்கும் எல்லாத்துக்கும் தீபாவளி வாழ்த்துக்கள்.
மலேசியா வாழ் அனைவருக்கும் தீபாவளி வாழ்த்துக்கள்.
Tivya Raghu, FMT Lifestyle for Nightline.
The Deepavali festive air is filled not only with the glow of lights, but also with the aroma of delectable delights prepared and savoured across diverse cultural communities. Among these culinary treasures, muruku, an iconic Indian snack, which has emerged as a unifying symbol, seamlessly blending the culinary traditions of the Indian, Malay and Chinese communities. Our reporter Alif Yunus has the story.
Muruku, a crunch and aromatic delight, transcends its Indian roots to become an integral part of Deepavali celebrations. Originating from the state of Tamil Nadu, the very name Muruku denotes twisted, a reference to the distinctive shape of this culinary gem. For Maniam Supe, the snack echoes the fusion of culinary traditions and the cultural pride.
Muruku semua abang tengok mas, contohlah. Abang tengok sana, kat sini pun kita buat sendiri itulah cakap. Kita India punya cakap orang apa? Kira mewah India punya macam Melayu lah. Buat kuih apa? Nasi lemak, rendang. Macam itulah India punya dia kira kita buat.
He added that the role of Muruku also works as a unifying element, transcending cultural boundaries.
Kita menjaga 30 tahun. Kita tiba Bali kita menjaga tahun-tahun sekali. Yang Melayu ke India ke China, dia makan apa pun sama juga. Satu Malaysia, satu negeri.
While the essence of Muruku remains true to its traditional form, each community adds its distinct spin to the preparation technique and aesthetics. This was demonstrated by Naha Afendi Amin, a Malay Muruku trader who incorporates his own unique flair into the Muruku making process, showcasing the diverse and creative adaptations that contribute to the rich tapestry of Muruku enjoyed by Malaysians of various backgrounds.
Saya sebenarnya memang peminat Muruku lah daripada dulu lagi. Jadi saya nampak Muruku ni memang ada keunikan kat sini. Jadi itu yang mendorongkan saya untuk membuat jualan Muruku ni. Pasal peminat orang Melayu ramai untuk Muruku ni. Jadi kami buat Muruku ni untuk semua bangsa. India, Cina, Melayu pun boleh makan Muruku ni.
Naha also emphasised that Muruku has its own economic impact, highlighting the collective efforts of businesses and individuals from varied communities, especially during the festive season.
In this delightful treat, one finds not just a crispy snack, but a testament to the unity and harmony that defines the spirit of Deepavali for all Malaysians. Alif Yunus, TV3.
Nightline draws to a close this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at the bustling scenes at the Deepavali Bazaar in Brickfields, where Malaysians embarked on last-minute shopping sprees to make final preparations, buying essentials ahead of the celebrations. With that, I'm Liyana Hassanel. Thank you for watching and have a happy Deepavali, Malaysia.